لا يقومون إلا كما يقوم.
Good afternoon. I'm still reporting on the economy. A few days ago, I was deeply saddened to learn of the death of my friend Shirazdeen Adam Shah, or Shiraz. My first contact with Shiraz was in June of 2012, when he invited me to be a keynote speaker at the 3rd Annual World Conference on Riba, held in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, in late November 2012. It turned out that Shiraz had gotten an angel investor in Malaysia to put up $100,000 per year to run the conference for 3 years to try to raise world consciousness about the issue of a debt-based, interest or riba-based economy. On November 26th, after the welcoming remarks by Shiraz,
over the past 100 years, often than not, we have seen these economic crises returning with greater vengeance and devastating consequences. Time and again, mainstream economy has imposed superficial changes that have lulled both policymakers and people at large into a false sense of security.
Followed by opening remarks by the longest-serving Prime Minister in Malaysia's history, Dr. Mahathir Mohamad.
The banking system has created a lot of greed among people. And because they have so much greed, they begin to do what is not really morally right, even though legally it may be right.
I gave my broad overview presentation on the global monetary system and megatrends.
If you killed the Fed tomorrow, nothing would change. The Fed is just like the curtain in The Wizard of Oz. It's to make us think that the government is doing something. It's to make us think that the Fed is actually part of the government, operating in the interest of we the people. But I got news for you. The Fed is a wholly owned creature of the banks. All of the stock of the Fed is owned by the commercial banks. Who do you think they're beholden to? Do you think they're going to operate in our public interest, or do you think they're going to operate in the bank's interest?
The next day, I got Shiraz to sit for an interview. This is the first time this interview has been seen.
My name is Shirazdeen Adam Shah. People call me Shiraz. And I'm the organizing chairman of the World Conference on Riba. It has been World Conference now. It has been Annual World Conference on Riba. So this is the 3rd edition that I'm chairing on.
And I've heard a lot of people say that they'd like to see this continue in Malaysia, and I agree. I'd love to see this continue. I think this is unique to Malaysia, and
thank you,
this
Bill.
conference
Thanks.
is just too important. The important monetary reform conference used to be in Bromsgrove, England.
Okay.
And it was held about this time of year, but this is the first year they haven't held it. And so your conference now becomes much more important, and your conference was 5 times bigger than Bromsgrove ever was. So
it's amazing.
You have no idea how good a thing you've put together here, and I just want to encourage you that this is not something small that you've done. This is something major. What is the major problem from your view with the world economy?
And mainstream economy, over the whole 100 years, economic crises have happened again and again. But the remedies that they've given all the while is always temporary in nature. It does not solve the problem, because for me, the people who are giving the remedies are the people who are creating the problem. So yet back to back again, you're going to ask the same people who have created the problems to give solutions. It's like Frankenstein. You're not getting back to who created Frankenstein. The problem is Dr. Frankenstein who created Frankenstein. You create a monster, and then it goes out of control, and then you kill the monster, and what happens is that you come back and allow Dr. Frankenstein to create another monster. So it's like going back to back. You have to go back to the root of the problem. What is the root of the problem? Are we tagged to the real economy? Are we tagged to, because people have been trading all since time immemorial. Trade has been going on for a very long time. Why is this economic problems is only happening so rampantly right now in the last 200 years? What's wrong about it? People were trading in this region for a very long time. It was like our country here was an entry port to many traders who came from different parts of the world, Europe, Asia and everything. But why? And people were trading fairly. You bring your products here, you bring your goods here, and then you exchange, you buy and sell, until one dominant force came in and said, look, you have to follow our rules, and this is what happens, and imposing their rules and the way they trade, the ideas and everything. So this has caused a lot of problem to the world. It is economic injustice. All right, anything to do with injustice economically is linked to riba. For example, yesterday you opened up the session very well, and you gave a lot of explanation from your point of view. And as we moved on in the conference, you can see that one part, Mr. Afrozali was linking riba to the environmental effect of what it's created. People have always been thinking riba as a very small issue, is an issue of interest and usury. But it's the core issue of everything. I mean, economic injustice. And we are talking the same language. The problem with the word riba is that it has always been thought as an Arabic word which gives Islamic connotations to it. And people never, you can see different definitions of riba. Alan showed in a what they call presentation this morning. There's so much, it's a diverse what they call definition given on riba. But we have managed to give a good definition to riba since the first conference. We have been looking at it and we've been studying, and he said, look, this is it. And this is how a lot of people have converged together. That is how we have people like you coming to this conference, and people like Hugo Salinas and the rest to come to this conference, because they say, look, this is what we have been talking about, and you are talking the same thing. The root cause of this economic problem today, world economic problem today, is riba. And until we solve it, or until we find a remedy to solve this problem, this economic problem is not going to be settled. No, what we need to do is definitely, if you're going to change a system that has been around for 200 years, immediately it's going to collapse. But from my point of view, the steps have to be taken in few stages. Okay, first of all, you have to recognize the problem. What is the problem? And what are there are three steps. That's why we are talking about the 3 points of this conference: response, resilience, and reform. So the immediate response that we are going to look at, what do we need to take right now to minimize the effects of the economic collapse on us, the immediate effects. Then you talk about the resilience. What are the steps that we need to take immediately, the second step? And definitely there should be an overhaul, a total overhaul, a total reform of, for example, Alan Brown has been talking about public banking. Some people have been talking about returning to gold and silver. Some people have been talking about community currencies. We have to look at the steps, how to implement all these. Are all these going to be beneficial for the community or the people of the world? So definitely it has been beneficial, because we can see that in a lot of places in the world, we have seen like community currencies being used. Okay, for example, and there's like public banking in North Dakota, it has been helping. You can see the Weir Bank in Switzerland. We can see all this, but it is not in a concerted effort. So what we are trying to say is, let's come together. And I don't think so the governments would want to take this action. I'm very sure they're not going to take this action, because basically you look at the governments, they are being funded by the same people who create this problem. So definitely politicians are not going to come to this end to rescue us. So it's the people who has to look into it. If people like the activists and a lot of people like who know about this, they have to spread the awareness and start taking first the remedial actions. The first step. What do we need to do? What do we need to do? Then we take into the second step and third step. It should be a step that is going to go for a few years or for a time period, and at the end of the day, our objective is same. We need to have an economic system which is just. But how we're going to go about it, that's where we converge together and we put all the minds together and think about it and see how we can come to a good conclusion.
6 days ago, Shiraz passed away peacefully just days after becoming the father of a baby boy, his first child. Hopefully the world will come up with some other benefactor to keep the torch of monetary reform going with an annual conference. I'm still reporting on the economy. Good day.